Please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen, guys. Please confirm to me. Am I audible? Am I audible? Please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen now. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen now. Am I audible? Everybody in the questions box, please type the information. All of you get my voice on screen. Yeah, thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. 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 Right. Hello. 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 Right. Good morning, guys. All right, sir. And in the, I think when we started some content, one class, just we completed there, just a Java history part we understood. Next, we started with the differences between Java and other programming languages. The topic here we are discussing. And if any of your new members today, nothing is completed here. Only one small topic I discussed there. Java features, sorry, Java history, the topic I have discussed there. So again, I will discuss the topic at some other time. Just as a matter of only one class that I will discuss with you as a backup class. But I want to continue the topic today is like what there. All right, differences between Java and others. What's the topic today? Differences between Java and others. Where the very first difference here, what I am discussing with you, C and C++ are static programming languages, but Java is what there? A dynamic programming language. Simple point. C and C++ are static programming languages, but Java is what there? A dynamic programming language. Now, I want to give clarity on this point here. Try to understand it clearly. All of you observe carefully. All right, sir. 1 minute. Okay, no problem. Now, I want to give some information to you. Try to understand these points clearly. For example, I have written a C program. Just 2 minutes of time. Now try to understand it clearly. I have written some C program. C program in the sense file extension should be what there? .c. File extension should be what there? .c. It's not coming. Yeah, it's coming. No problem. If I take a C program where the file extension should be like what there? .c. Here we are taking. Then after this, who will execute our C program actually? Here we need to execute the program. Then we have to get output. Am I right or not? Here we have to execute the C program. Then we have to get what their output from the C program. That is the actual content. Okay, right side. Now, whenever we are executing our program, there we are able to get some output. This is that output here we are going to get. Understand it clearly. Here we are getting like what their output. Now this is like what their execution. Who will execute our C programs now? Understand it clearly. To execute a C program, we are going to use a separate engine. To execute C program, we are going to use what there? A separate engine. Right or not? That separate engine is called as C engine. Understand one point here. To execute C program, we need a separate engine. That engine is what there? C engine. To execute C++ programs, we need to use a separate engine. That is what there? C++ engine. To execute Java program, we need a separate engine. That engine is called as what there? Java engine is also be called as JVM. To execute Java programs, we need a separate engine. Is also be called as like what there? JVM. Get my point or not? What is the meaning of JVM? Java Virtual Machine. Java Virtual Machine can be used to execute Java programs. Understand it clearly now. Alright, sir. Now here C engine is required clearly. Now, in general, we are able to write a program. In general, we are able to write program in a developer's understandable language. In general, we are able to write program in which language? No, our understandable language. Developers understandable language is what language here? High level language. Answer my point here. Developer understandable language is what there? High level language. What is this high level language actually? Understand it clearly. For example, int a is equal to 10. This is high level language. Int is a data type. A is a variable. Is equal to is an operator. 10 is the data, constant value. Semicolon is a terminator. This is our understandable representation. But here, C engine is able to understand what their C engine is able to understand low level language. It's able to understand like what their low level language. Low level language. It is able to understand. Okay, what is this low level language? No, same int a is equal to 10 we can represent in the form of like what there? Something like what there? Some zeros and ones, binary representation. That's what their low level language. All of you are getting clarity up to now. We are able to write program in high level language, but C engine require the program in what there? Low level language. Okay, fine. For example, if I provide directly this C program to this execution engine, it has to execute this C program and it has to provide some output. This is the actual scenario. We have written this program. If we give this program to the C engine has to execute this program. It has to generate some outputs. Am I right or not? It has to generate what there? Some outputs. But unfortunately, C engine is unable to execute our program directly. C engine is unable to execute our program directly. Why C engine is unable to execute our program directly? If we come for this point, answer is very clear. We have written program in high level, but C engine required program in what there? Low level. So that language level mismatch is identified or not? Some mismatch is available or not? We are able to write program in high level, but we don't know the equivalent program in low level. But C engine required the program in low level, but it does not aware about what their high level program. So there's some communication gap is coming or not? There's some mismatch is identified or not? Because of this mismatch, because of this communication gap, our C program is not executed by the C engine directly. But still I want to run my C program. I want to execute my C program. Then what I have to do now? What exactly the work here I have to do here if we want to execute our C program directly? Now let's understand this clearly. If we want to run our program, if we want to execute our program, first we have to translate our program from high level representation to low level representation. After translation, we have to give that low level represented code to what their C engine. So we require some translation mechanism or not? We need some translation process or not? So now here I'm going to take a translation process. I need to take what there? A translation process. Translation process here we are going to take. Understand it clearly. About this translation process, what it is able to do, if you provide this high level program to this translation, then it able to translate the program from high level representation to low level representation. High level representation to what there? Low level representation. In the case of C programming, the low level represented code is going to be stored in the form of .exe file. In the case of C programming language, the low level code will be provided in the form of like what there? .exe file. Yes, sir, got it or not? Now, inside this .exe file, what you are able to have there directly, low level code is existed here. We can identify this clearly. Is totally low level code is existed. We can understand now. Now, this is about like what there, low level code. All right, sir. Now here, we can understand clearly. This is like what there, low level code. That what we prepared clearly. All right, sir. Now, whenever we are getting this low level code, low level language, then if we provide this low level language code to the execution, now understand this clearly. Now C engine can execute this code or not? C engine record low level code. Now we are providing what code here? No, low level code. Automatically C engine can execute this code or not? Then finally it able to provide some output or not? Now put concentration here. What this translation is doing now? The translation process is doing what? It able to take C code as an input. It able to convert the high level code to low level code. Am I right or not? This entire process, what is that process? No, translating code or program from high level representation to low level representation. Translating our program from high level representation to low level representation. This process is called as what there? Compilation. This process is called as what there? Compilation. Understand it clearly what I'm telling you. This is exactly the meaning of like what there? Compilation. Right or not? Now I'm asking one question to you. Try to answer for it. What exactly the meaning of compilation actually? Compilation responsibilities are what there? First one is translating, converting program from what to what? Program from high level language to low level language. This is one responsibility of what there? Compilation. Yes, sir? This is one responsibility of compilation. That's okay, fine. Now here, one more point I'm telling to you, try to understand it clearly. Who is writing the programs in general? Developer is writing the program. Am I right or not? Developer is writing the program. When developer is writing the programs, definitely some mistakes are going on. The developer is a human being, definitely. Even though the creator of the C programming language is writing the program, definitely there some mistakes are available. Understand my point? But having mistakes is not at all issue. Having a problem is not at all issue. But without checking whether our program contains errors or not, trying to execute the program is a crime. Without checking mistakes in our program, trying to execute the program is a bad thing. So because of that reason, we need to check whether our program contains some mistakes or not. Before executing our program, we have to check whether our program has any mistakes or not, any problems or not. So this process is called as error checking. This process is called as what there? Error checking. To perform this error checking, again here we have to use what there? Compilation. To perform this error checking, here we have to use what there? Compilation. Tell me overall, what exactly the purpose of the compilation? Two responsibilities here we are given there. What are the two responsibilities of the compilation? Translating our program from high level code to low level code. Second one is what there? Error checking. They are the two responsibilities of what there? Compilation. Clear? All of you are getting clarity up to now. Can I move forward? Next point here, no? Now understand the conclusions. I'm going to give some conclusions, try to understand it clearly. The moment when we compile the program, the time when we compile the program, that is called as compilation time. The time when we compile the program is called as what there? Compilation time. Is also be called as, this compilation time is also be called as what there? Static time. Simply speaking, static. That's okay, fine. At the same time, the moment when we execute the program, the time when we execute the program, that is called as, the time is called as dynamic time, is also be called as an execution time, is also be called as like what their run time. These are the various values are available. Tell me guys, all of you understand it clearly? Compilation process time is called as compilation time or static time. Execution time is called as what their dynamic time, and execution time or what next one? No, run time. These many things here we are able to follow clearly. That's of course the diagram is already given there. Don't worry for it. Once again, I'm discussing clearly the content with you now. All right, sir. Then after this, after completion of this, listen, all of you listen carefully. One more small point I'm telling to you. For example, I have a variable here. I have a variable int a is equal to 10. Variable is available. Sir, all of you are following or not? Int a is equal to 10. I've taken a variable. Now tell me, for this variable, what will happen there when we compile this program? A variable will have 4 bytes of memory. How much memory there? Okay, in C programming language, 2 bytes of memory. In Java, 4 bytes of memory. In C, 2 bytes of memory. I'm telling there, here this is like what there, 2 bytes of memory. 2 bytes of memory. Starting address location may be like what there, 1010 for example. And the data inside the A variable is like what there, 10. It means that this 2 bytes of memory is allocated for A variable is on the basis of the data type or not? Come on, is on the basis of the int data type or not? Int will take 2 bytes of memory. Answer my point or not? So on the basis of this data type, these data types, int, float, long, double, these data types are called as primitive data types. These data types are called as what they're primitive data types, predefined data types. Primitive data types are what they're predefined data types. Everybody understand my point clearly? So these are like what they're primitive data types and predefined data types. Also carefully. Now tell me, memory must be allocated for the primitive data types or not? When we compile the program or when we execute the program, wherever it may be, whenever we declare like this, into a is equal to 10, definitely some memory must be allocated for the variable or not? You have to respond for me. Memory must be allocated for the variable or not? So this is called as memory allocation. The process is called as what there? Memory allocation. Clear? Now I'm giving some conclusion. Try to understand it clearly. If the memory allocation for the primitive data types, if the memory allocation for the primitive data types is going on at a compilation time, if the memory allocation for the primitive data types is going on at a compilation time, in this time, then this memory allocation is called as static memory allocation. Come on guys, what is the meaning of static memory allocation? Now answer for it no. If the memory allocation is going on for the primitive data types at a compilation time, at what time no? Compilation time, then this memory allocation is called as what there? Static memory allocation. For example, if the memory allocation for the primitive data types at a runtime, this memory allocation is going in at what time here? Runtime. Then this memory allocation is called as what there? Dynamic memory allocation. Now that memory allocation is called as what there? Dynamic memory allocation. Everybody understand my point here? Two types of memory allocations here we are having. What are the two types of memory allocations? No, first one is what there? Static memory allocation. Second one is what there? Dynamic memory allocation. Can you tell me what is static memory allocation? What is the static memory allocation? Now tell me. If the memory allocation is going on for the primitive data types at a compilation time, then that memory allocation is what there? Static memory allocation. If the memory allocation is going on for the primitive data types at a runtime, then that memory allocation is called as what there? Dynamic memory allocation. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? Final conclusion, try to remember this conclusion. If any programming language follows static memory allocation, then that programming language is called a static programming language. Come again. If any programming language follows static memory allocation, then that programming language is called a static programming language. Similarly, if any programming language follows dynamic memory allocation, then that programming language is called a dynamic programming language. Yes, sir. Got it or not? Now, actually, our difference between C, C++, and Java is what they. What is the first difference I said to you? C and C++ are what? Static programming languages, but Java is what? A dynamic programming language. Now, tell me, what is a static programming language? What is the definition I'm telling there? If any programming language, come on, if any programming language follows static memory allocation, then that programming language is called a static programming language. That's it. This is the meaning of static programming language. Example I'm telling to you. Now try to observe this clearly. Examples are directly I'm telling there C and C++. What is the meaning of this C and C++? No, observe carefully. In C and C++ applications, memory will be allocated to the primitive data types at a compilation time. Not at a runtime. At a compilation time, not at runtime. That's the reason why C and C++ are what there? Static programming language. If any programming language follows static memory allocation, then that programming language is called as a static programming language. Here itself I'm giving there. All right, sir. If the memory allocation is going on at a compilation time, if the memory allocation is going on at a compilation time, then that memory allocation is called static memory allocation. Again, clear cut information also for it. Now try to understand it clearly. Examples are what there? C and C++. That we have to understand this clearly. Right, sir. Right, sir. Anything else? One minute. Guys, all of you confirm it. Are you getting any echoing? Are you getting any echo voice? I think so, no, right? You're not having any echoing, right? That's okay, fine. I think my voice is very much clear, right? Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's okay, fine. Yeah, let me continue. All right, sir. Now, next one is after this, what is the next point here we are understanding there? Now tell me dynamic programming language. What is the meaning of dynamic programming language? You only tell me, no. If any programming language, come on, if any programming language follows dynamic memory allocation, just give me a minute. 1 minute. Right, sir. If any programming language follows dynamic memory allocation, then that programming language is called a dynamic programming language. Dynamic programming language. Now, what is the meaning of dynamic memory allocation? That point also here we have to understand. What is the meaning of dynamic programming language? If the memory allocation if the memory allocation is going on at runtime, not at compilation time. Observe carefully. At runtime, not at compilation time, then that programming language is called a dynamic programming. Sorry, is called that programming. That memory allocation is called as a dynamic memory allocation. Right, sir. Example for dynamic programming languages are like what there? Java. Of course, we can use that Python. Of course, C#, .NET, something else. .NET is also be following dynamic memory allocation. Then what is the meaning here? We can understand. What is the point here? We are able to understand here. Observe carefully, all of you know. In Java applications, memory will be allocated for the primitive data types. Memory will be allocated for the primitive data types at a runtime, not at a compilation time. Because of this reason, the Java is what their dynamic programming language, and it follows dynamic memory allocation. Right, sir? Then as per this example here, I'm telling there, what is the meaning of compilation? What is the meaning of this point here? Or else what? Instead of taking this diagram, I want to use this diagram so that you are able to get some clarity, some information I've given more. So just I want to take this point here. Just I want to delete it. Now I want to paste this diagram here. Whatever the diagram at present, I created clearly. Okay, fine. So this point is completed. Point number one, we completed. Difference between Java and others. First point here, we completed. All right, sir. Good. Again, I'm asking to you, all of you, please respond to me. Everybody, please respond to me. Final conclusion. I want to go for next point. What is static programming language? Come on. If any programming language follows static memory allocation, then the programming language is what there? Static programming language. Okay, what is static memory allocation? Come on, what is static memory allocation? The memory allocation is going on at what time? Compilation time. Then that memory allocation is what there? Static memory allocation. That's okay, fine. What is dynamic programming language? If any programming language follows memory allocation at what time? Runtime, not at compilation time, then that programming language is what there? Dynamic programming language. What is dynamic memory allocation? Come on, what's dynamic memory allocation? If the memory allocation is going on at what time? Runtime, then that memory allocation is what there? Dynamic memory allocation. What are the examples for static programming languages? C and C++. What are the examples for dynamic programming languages? No, Java, Python, and so on. All these are what there? Dynamic programming languages. Clear or not? So can I move forward? Can I go for the next point here now? Second difference. Please all of you understand it. Nearly 9 number of differences are available. We have to understand all these 9 number of differences now. Then only we can identify clearly how Java is far away from C and C++. Don't think of it, Java is the same as C and C++. Definitely Java is different from C and C++ now. Understand it clearly. Okay. Now let's move on to the second point here. All of you observe carefully. Preprocessor required in C and C++, but preprocessor does not require in Java. Everybody understand this clearly. Preprocessor required in C and C++, but preprocessor doesn't require in Java. Does not require in Java. They're the points here we have to understand. Clear to all of you know? Right. Observe carefully. All of you observe carefully. First of all, what is preprocessor? What is preprocessor? And where it is located in the programming languages? Where it is available in the programming languages? What is the job of the preprocessor? These many points here we have to understand clearly. Everybody understand my point, what I'm telling to you? What is preprocessor? Where it is located in the programming languages? What is the role of the preprocessor in our applications? All the points here we have to understand. Clear? Now I want to give some diagram here. Try to understand this diagram. Everybody put more concentration here. Everybody put more concentration. For example, I want to take the same C program. If we want to take same C program, we need to take a file with the extension what there .c. Clear? When we are taking the C program with the extension .c, we have to compile the program or not? We need to compile the program or not? All right, compilation is mandatory for C program. Then only that high level code will be converted to low level code. Okay, now here I want to say this is like what their compilation. This is like what their compilation. Everybody understand this clearly. Okay, compilation here we have done. That's okay, fine. When we compile the program, then we are able to get some file. What file here we are able to get there? Now tell me guys, all of you understood already? If we compile a program, what files here we are able to get now? .exe file here we are able to get. Inside the .exe file, what we are able to get there? What we are able to get inside the .exe file? No, some executable code, some byte, some low level code that we are able to get. Whenever we are getting this .exe file, there we have to execute our program. All right, to execute our program, we need to go for like what the execution process. Now tell me, all of you know, who will execute our C program? Come on, who will execute C program? C engine. C engine will execute our C program. Who will execute Java programs? Java engine. That is what there? JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Similarly, who will execute Python programs? Python mission. That Python mission is also be called as what there? Python virtual mission, PVM. JVM for Java programs, PVM for what there? Python programs. Understand it clearly. Now get observe carefully. C program I have taken, compilation we are performing, .exe file we are getting, execution, then we are getting what their outputs. This is the total structure here what we are following. Now, what is the meaning of compilation? If you observe this, compilation includes 4 phases. Compilation including what there? 4 phases. What are the 4 phases inside the compilation? Observe carefully. First one is what there? Preprocessor. Our required point. What is the point now I'm talking there? Preprocessor required in C++, but preprocessor is not required in Java. Java does not require preprocessor, but C++ does require what there? Preprocessor. That's the point now. Now, this is the location of the preprocessor here we can understand. After this preprocessor, next one is what there? Compiler. Next one is what there? Assembler. Next one is what there? Loader, linker, editor. Right. Overall, these are the 4 things which are available inside the compilation. I'm talking with you clearly. Compilation in the sense, don't think about it. The total compilation is only compiler can do that work. The total compilation could be done by compiler. Don't think in this way. The point is what their compilation includes nearly 4 phases. What are the 4 phases of the compilation? Preprocessor, compiler, assembler, loader, link editor. All right, sir. My required point already I got it. What is my required point? No. What exactly the location of the preprocessor? It was located in the compilation phase as a first phase. Inside the compilation, preprocessor phase is what there? First phase here. Understand it clearly? Okay, fine. Next one is, anyway, here we are getting this compiler. Now this one also I want to elaborate actually. This compilation part also be, I want to elaborate. Compiler, I want to elaborate. In the future, I require. Okay, fine. What exactly the phases which are available inside the compiler? Nearly 6 number of phases are available inside the compiler. What are the 6 number of phases inside the compiler? No. First one is what there? Lexical analysis. What is the first one? You know, lexical analysis. Next one is syntax analysis. Next one is semantic analysis. Then after the semantic analysis. Next one is intermediate code generation. Intermediate code generation. Right, sir. Intermediate code generation. After this, code optimization. After this, code generation. Right, so these are overall 6 number of phases which are available inside the compilation. Compiler, especially compiler. Compiler is a component. Inside this compiler, these many phases are going to be happen. Right, sir. Right, sir. Now this is the total content here we can understand. Try to observe carefully. 1 minute. Okay, now this is about like what their compilation here, what we are getting. Got it or not? This is a simple diagram. Here we understood. From this diagram, we understood what is the location of the preprocessor. What is the location of the preprocessor here? We understood. Okay, let me take this diagram also now. In the future, definitely I'm going to use that. Now, from this here, we are understanding clearly the point is what there. Now, in the compilation, preprocessor is the first phase. Is the first phase. In compilation, preprocessor is the first phase. That's okay, fine. But what this preprocessor is able to do? What is the role of the preprocessor? What is the job of the preprocessor in a C and a C++? Right, sir. All of you observe carefully. I'm going to give some internal content. Try to understand it clearly. Now tell me. Now tell me. In C and C++, the complete predefined library was provided. In C and C++, the complete predefined library was provided in the form of header files. Am I right or not? In C and C++, the total predefined library was provided in the form of like what their header files. Examples for header files are like what they, right? Understand my point here? stdio.h header files. Am I right or not? stdio.h, conio.h. Next one is what there? After this conio.h, math.h, like this. So many things are existed here now. Just some of them here I've written it, but understand it clearly. Okay, fine. The total predefined library is available in the form of what their header files. Okay, but how I'm going to use them in my C program? How it is possible for me to use them in my C program? All right, understand my point here. To get a predefined library from header files to the C programs or C application, we have to include header files. We have to include what are their header files. Now tell me, to include header files, we have to use the following statement. We have to use what is the following statement, or else maybe instead of saying that, we have to use hash include statement. Am I right or not? To include header files here, we have to use what there hash include statement. What is the syntax of what is the example for this hash include statements? No, observe carefully. Hash include stdio.h. Next one is what there hash include math.h, or maybe hash include conio.h. Like this here we are able to write or not? So all of you are following up to know. In the C and C++ programs, the total predefined library is available in the form of header files. To use that header files content inside our C program, we have to include these header files to C and C++ programs. To include these header files, we have to use what statements? No, hash include stdio.h, hash include math.h, hash include conio.h. Yes, clear to all of you? What is the point here I'm telling to you? That's okay, fine. Okay, for example, I prepared a C program. Now I want to compile my C program. Observe carefully. When we compile our C program, preprocessor will perform some activities. What activities our preprocessor will perform? No, preprocessor will recognize all the hash include statements. Preprocessor will take all the provided header files names. Preprocessor will go inside the C software, where preprocessor will check whether these header files are existed or not. If these header files are not existed, preprocessor will raise an error. If these header files are existed inside the C software, preprocessor will load these header files content to the memory. That means preprocessor will load header files content to the memory. It means that it is able to perform like what they're loading. It is able to perform what they're loading, content loading, library loading. Now at what time this preprocessor is doing this entire process? No, inside the compilation time or not? Part of the compilation only preprocessor is loading that library or not? Get my point or not? So this is called as at compilation time we are loading code is nothing but what there static loading. This type of loading is called as what there static loading. Previously static memory allocation, but this time it is what there static loading library at a compilation time. That is called as what there static loading. Yes, clear to all of you? What's the point here I'm telling to you? Tell me, all of you, tell me what is static loading? Loading predefined libraries to the memory at a compilation time. Loading predefined library to the memory at a compilation time. Then it is called as what there static loading. Sir, got it or not? Come again. Once again, I'm repeating the same point now. Try to understand it clearly. What is the point I'm telling to you? All of you observe carefully. If we compile a C program, then preprocessor will perform the following actions. What preprocessor is able to perform here? Observe carefully. Point number 1. Preprocessor will recognize all hash include statements. Preprocessor will take header files names from hash include statements. Preprocessor will take header files names from the hash include statements. Preprocessor will check whether these header files exist or not in C software. Preprocessor will check whether these header files are exist or not in the C software. All right. If the specified header files exist in a C software, then the preprocessor will load all the header files content to the memory. If the specified header files exist in a C software, then the preprocessor will load all the header files content to the memory. In the case if the specified header files does not exist, in the C software, then the preprocessor will raise an error. An error. Some errors, or maybe one error or more than one error. Finally, preprocessor is able to raise some error. Understand my point clearly? If the specified header files do not exist in the C software, then the preprocessor will raise an error. Will raise some errors. Simply speaking, will raise errors depending on the requirement, depending on the situation. Errors will come. Sir, got it or not? Okay, fine. Now, understand it clear. I'm giving some conclusion. What is the point here I'm telling there? No type of point. Loading predefined library at a compilation time is called static loading. Loading predefined library at a compilation time is called static loading. That's one point. Next, conclusion I'm telling you, try to understand it clearly. In the C and C++, preprocessor required, preprocessor is required in C and C++. Preprocessor is required to recognize hash include statements in order to load header files content to the memory. In C and C++, preprocessor is required to recognize hash include statements in order to load header files content to the memory. That's it, sir. Now this is the requirement why what we required here now, preprocessor in a C and C++. That's all of you are getting clarity now. Even this much of internal flow given, but the point is very simple. Conclusion is very simple. Preprocessor is required in C and C++ to recognize hash include statements, to recognize header files, and to load header files content to the memory. So definitely preprocessor is required in the case of C and C++. But how it is now given the total story in the form of some steps now. If at least if we go through this document there, easily we are able to understand the content. Easily we are able to understand the content if we go through this document here now. All of you are getting it or not? Right, sir. Now try to recognize this one. Already we are giving some diagram also. That's okay, fine. Leave this one. After completion of this part here, now the point is what? Why preprocessor is not required in Java? Why preprocessor is required in C, C++, we understood that. But now we need to understand why preprocessor is not required in Java. This is our required point. As you are learning Java, this is our required point. C and C++ point is awareness purpose, but this is our required point. Now we have to understand it clearly. Yes, sir. All of you are getting clarity or not? Now understand this point clearly. Why preprocessor is not required in Java? I'll give some example. I'll give some proof. Try to understand it now. In Java, listen carefully. In Java, the complete predefined library is provided in the form of classes and interfaces in packages. Of course, package is nothing but collection of classes and interfaces. What is a package now? Collection of classes and interfaces. Come again. What is one point here I set you? Only one point here I set you know. What is the point here? In Java, the complete predefined library was provided in the form of packages, where package is a collection of classes and interfaces. In other words, what I am telling you, in Java, the complete predefined library was provided in the form of classes and interfaces in the packages. Both are same. Okay, fine. What are the various packages we are having in Java? Java.io package, Java.lang package, Java.util package, Java.sql package. So many packages are available. That's okay, fine. Now, okay, fine. Predefined library is available in what their packages. But my requirement is what? I need to use that predefined library in my Java program or not? I have to use predefined library in my Java program or not? But predefined library is available in the packages. But how I can use that library into my Java program? In the case of C and C++, predefined library was available in the header files. But to bring that header files to the C and C++ program, we have to use hash include statements or not? Similarly, in the case of Java, the predefined library is available in the form of packages. But if you want to use that packages content inside my Java program, I have to bring that package to my Java program or not? To bring that package to the Java program, we have to import that package to the Java file. We have to import the Java program, that we have to import that package to the Java file. There we have to use what statements? No, import statement. There we have to use what statement? No, import statement. Yes, sir. All of you are following or not? What is the point I said? You know, understand it clearly. In the case of Java, here I'm telling it. Now tell me, in Java, the complete predefined library was provided in the form of classes and interfaces in packages. The complete library was provided in the form of like what their classes and interfaces in what their packages. Everybody understand this point clearly. The complete predefined library was provided in the form of like what there packages. Okay, fine. Right, sir. Next one is what? After this, after understanding this content here, add the examples for the packages here. I'm telling to you java.lang, java.io. Next one is java.util. Then after this, java.sql. Like this, so many packages are available, and so on and so on and so on. We can use that. Okay, fine. Next one is, if you want to use predefined library, if you want to use predefined library in Java files, we have to import the packages. We have to import the packages. To import a package, we have to use which statement? No, import statement. In the case of C and C++, what statement we have to use? Hash include statement. But in the case of Java, what statement here we are using there? No, import statement. That's it. We have to use the import statement. That's okay, fine. Example I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Import java.io.star. Star is representing all classes and interfaces from java.io package. Java.io package contains more and more number of classes and interfaces. Hundreds of classes and interfaces are available, but I want to get all into my Java program. I want to get all into my Java program. For that purpose, we are using like what there, import java.io.star. Similarly, import java.util.star. Again, the same scenario. In a java.util package, so many classes and interfaces are available. I want to get all of them into my Java program. So here we are using like what there, import java.util.star. Similarly, I want to provide what there, import java.sql.star. Again, the same thing. Sir, got it or not? First of all, understand it clearly. In Java, the complete predefined library was provided in the form of classes and interfaces in packages. Java.lang, Java.io, Java.util, Java.sql. If you want to use a predefined library in Java files, we have to import the packages. To import a package, we have to use what statement? No, import statement. There, what we have to provide there? Import java.io.star, import java.util.star, import java.sql.star. Like this here, we are able to provide clearly. Is that all of you are getting it or not? That's okay, fine. Next one is, for example, listen carefully, somewhat internal flow I'm discussing with you. Now try to understand it clearly. Just 1 minute. All right, sir. Now, this point is somewhat related with Java and its internal content. Put more concentration. Easily we can understand. Clear? Now observe carefully, all of you know. I prepared a Java file. One Java program I created. I compiled this Java file. When we compile Java program, compiler, what is it? No, compiler will recognize all import statements. In the case of C and C++, preprocessor is able to recognize hash include statements. But in the case of Java, compiler is able to recognize all the import statements. Compiler will take all the packages names which we provided along with import statements. Compiler will go inside the Java software where compiler will check whether these packages are existed or not. If these packages are not existed, their compiler will raise an error. If these packages are does not existed, their compiler will raise an error. If these packages are existed in Java software, then compiler will not raise any error. At the same time, compiler will not load any package content to the memory. At the same time, compiler will not load any package content to the memory. That is not the responsibility of the compiler. Compiler is not responsible for loading predefined library to the memory. Compiler is responsible for checking whether the libraries are existed or not existed. Compiler is checking whether the libraries are existed or not existed. Compiler is not responsible for loading predefined library to the memory. Okay, if compiler is not loading library to the memory, who will load that library? If compiler is not loading library, then definitely we have to load the library or not. Okay, if compiler is not loading that library, then who will take that responsibility? In Java, while executing our program at a runtime, JVM will take the responsibility of loading library to the memory. At a runtime, JVM will load the required libraries to the memory. So in Java, loading predefined library at a runtime, then it is called as what there? Dynamic loading. Guys, all of you are following or not? All of you are following the points, no? Almost all. 50% of the class is sleeping. I can find the people also, those who are sleeping. Some people are just now they are getting sleeping. Some people are right from almost all. Last 15 to 20 minutes and we continue sleeping. Arey, first class you are attending. In the first class, if you are sleeping, no, it may be a bad habit. You might be throughout the sessions we are going to sleep. So it shows clearly how much breakfast you have done. Yes. How much breakfast you have done? Have you had completed your breakfast? Yes or no? No. Don't expect from Durgasoft anyway. As a breakfast, if you're expecting, one topic I will give, Java topic as a breakfast. Right. Don't sleep in the classroom then. It's important topics. The basics. See, the point what I'm discussing with you, if you go for any interview, interviewer will check your resume. In your resume, obviously you specified the technologies like C, C++, Java, and so on. The first three technologies we used to say C, C++, Java. By seeing that, interviewer will ask this question. Tell me the differences between C, C++, Java. There at least you have to open your mouth. We have to speak minimum half an hour about this particular topic. Understand my point, Kiran? So that question, if you give proper answers now, that should be the first impression to that interviewer about you. There, if you satisfy that interviewer, the remaining part of the interview will be very good. But there, if you are not satisfying that interviewer, definitely interviewer may think bad about you regarding that. Why? Because it's a fundamental topic. Moreover, you specified clearly C, C++, Java in our resume. Means that you are saying to that interviewer, I know these three technologies, you can ask any question from these technologies. Once we specify something on resume in the sense, we are giving some intimation to that interviewer, you can ask anything in these technologies. But simply able to ask the question is what there, tell me the differences between C, C++, and Java. Moreover, I had very good R&D work regarding these differences now. Then each and every point I'm giving in a clear-cut internal concepts. So take it as an advantage and try to understand the content here. Don't sleep in the classroom then. So please, I'm requesting to everybody, try to have proper sleeping at a night time. Unfortunate thing is what there, God has given two slots for us. One is a daytime, another one is a night time. Daytime is for working, nighttime is for sleeping. But unfortunately nowadays people what they are doing now, daytime they are sleeping, nighttime they are working. It's against to the God's decision, against the nature. This will not work for long time. When the people are in against to the nature, definitely some natural problems will come. Best example, coronavirus, tsunami. Sir, got it or not? Cyclones. All these things because of like what there? Because of we are against to the nature only. Understand what I'm telling you? So don't do that. The point is what I'm telling to you. Night time for sleeping. Try to have proper sleep. Minimum 8 hours of sleep is mandatory. Is a healthy one. But unfortunately, if I open any WhatsApp, any person's WhatsApp there, the status is online at midnight, 12 o'clock. Yes, sir? No, don't go for that. At least now, until this Java course, try to maintain that proper healthy sleep at night time. Then with a good sleep, come to the class. You will not get any sleep, but at the same time, you are going to understand the content. One more small point I'm telling the last point. I need to complete this topic today. One more small point here I'm telling to you. What you studied at our colleges, forget it. How much score you had in our colleges, just forget it. Okay, understand it clearly. Now, whatever the courses, whatever the concepts you are learning, only these topics only these topics are giving job to you. Answer my point, Ken. One simple alert I'm giving there. As per the rule, in our BTech or in our colleges itself, you should get job. Still, we are not getting job in the sense, now we are spending extra time in Amirpet. This is not in our actual schedule, right from LKG to up to this. After completion of your graduation, you have to get job. But unfortunately, we are not having job. Now we are putting some extra time to get job. So don't waste this time. Give meaningful for this time. Moreover, this is a precious time, important time for your career. In our colleges, you might be prepared for exams only. It's a one night stand. But here it's not like this. It's a reality. In our exams, you may be prepared. You may write the exam. Some stories you might be written in our exam there. Unfortunately, evaluators are giving marks to you in the colleges now. But here it is reality. It is not like management kind of thing. We have to face that interviewer. In front of that interviewer, we have to sit. Interviewer will ask questions really. We have to answer for that questions really. Guys, all of you get my. Still people are sleeping now. Even this much of alert I am giving there. One person. Okay, it's not good thing to point out that persons individually, but I don't want to go for it. But even this information I'm telling that why I'm talking about all this nonsense now? Because of this, but still people are sleeping now. Okay, sir. Good. Tomorrow onwards, if any of you are sleeping inside the class, 1,000 rupees fine. You never get sleep, I think so. Okay. More to the point here. Let me complete this point here. Today I have to complete it. Right, sir. Good. Let's move on to the point here. So if you want to use predefined library in Java files, we have to import the packages. To import the packages, we have to use what statement? No, import statement. Now I already explained that what is going to be happen. For example, all of you observe this clearly. For example, understand this clearly. If we compile Java program, then the compiler will perform the following actions. Now you only tell me what actions the compiler is able to perform there. No, right, sir. When we compile a Java program, then the compiler will perform the following actions. Now first one, observe carefully. Compiler will recognize all the what statement? No, import statements. That's nice. After that, what compiler will do? Compiler will take all the packages names, and the compiler will search these packages in the Java software. Compiler will search these packages in the Java software. All of you getting my point or not? This is one point here. Okay. If the specified packages are not existed, or if the specified packages are not existed in the Java software, then the compiler will rise an error or errors. Okay, fine, whatever it may be. For example, right, sir, now if the specified packages are not exist in the Java software, then the compiler will rise an error. Okay, fine. If the specified packages are exist in the Java software, then the compiler will not rise any error. Okay, will not rise any error. And at the same time, what compiler will do? At the same time, the compiler will not load predefined library to the memory, will not load package content to the memory, will not load package content to the memory. That is not the job of the compiler. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? So now the point is what? One no type of point here I'm telling there. What is that no type of point now? Observe carefully. In Java, compiler is responsible for checking, compiler is responsible for checking whether the libraries are existed or not. Okay, where what is not the responsibility of the compiler? Where the compiler is not responsible for loading predefined library to the memory. Yes, sir. All of you are following these points or not? Okay. If compiler is not responsible for it, no. But who is responsible for loading predefined library? Right, sir. Understand my point here. In Java, I'm giving clearly at the runtime, JVM will load the required packages to the memory. The required packages to the memory. Here, loading predefined library at a runtime. Here loading predefined library at runtime is called dynamic loading. This is called as what there? Dynamic loading. Loading predefined library at runtime is called as what there? Dynamic loading. Now coming to the conclusion. Already I given one conclusion about this hash include statements like what there. In C and C++, preprocessor is required to recognize hash include statements in order to load header files content to the memory. Got it or not? But in the case of Java, I need to give the same conclusion. Observe carefully. In Java, preprocessor is not required. Preprocessor is not required. Why? Because in Java, header files and hash include statements are not available. Hash include statements are not available. Got my point or not? Alternatively, in Java, what things are available there? Now tell me. Alternatively, in Java, packages. Understand my point here? Now, packages and import statements are available. Packages and import statements are available. That's it. So because of this reason, what is not required in the case of Java? Preprocessor is not required. In the case of C and C++, what is required? Preprocessor is required. Got it or not? All right, sir. Now I want to give a diagram here. So this diagram I prepared as per the C. I want to convert the same diagram from C to Java. Understand it? What changes here we require now? First of all, I want to provide some changes here. Observe carefully. That file is not a .c file. That file should be what? Come on, .java. Okay. After compilation of a C program, we got .exe file. Am I right or not? But after compilation of the Java program, what we are getting there? In the case of Java, we are able to get .class files. .class files. In the case of C, .exe files. In the case of Java, what is not available? Preprocessor is not available. But in C and C++ is available. But in the case of Java, preprocessor is not available. But entire remaining content is very same. The total remaining part is very same. Then there are the changes here we have to do in the case of this Java. Okay. Now let's move on to the point here. Now this is like the diagram for what there for Java here are given. Got it or not? All right, sir. Now, finally, I required one conclusion. All of you tell me. What is the conclusion here I'm asking there? Why preprocessor is required in C, C++? Why preprocessor is not required in Java? Tell me what is the answer now? Simple conclusion. In C and C++, hash include statements, header files are available. To recognize this hash include statement, to load header files to the memory, we need what there? Preprocessor. But in the case of Java, hash include statement, header files are not available. So preprocessor is not required. Alternatively, what are available? Classes and interface in packages and import statements are available. So we don't require what there? Preprocessor, where compiler and JVM are sufficient to do our required actions. That is the reason why here we don't require this preprocessor in the case of Java. Got it or not? Now one important interview question I am talking there. Now try to understand it clearly. At fresher level, definitely this will be the question for us. Now try to understand this clearly. Here the question is what are the differences between hash include statement and import statement? What are the differences between hash include statement and what next one now? Import statement. Now this is the point here we have to understand clearly. What are the differences between hash include statement and what next one now? Import statement. Yes, sir. All of you are getting clarity or not? Okay, fine. Now observe carefully. Few points, only 4 or 5 differences, no, 4 differences only. Try to understand it clearly. Very first one. First of all, where hash include statement is available. Hash includes statements exist in C and C++. But where import statements are available, import statements exist in Java. That's it. Now this is a simple point here we can understand. Import statements exist in Java. That's okay, fine. Point number 2. All right, sir. What hash include statements are able to do? Hash include statements are able to do what? Hash include statements are able to include the predefined library. Hash include statements are including predefined library to the C and C++ programs which are existed in the form of header files, in the form of like what their header files. So hash include statements are able to include the predefined library which are existed which exists in the form of header files. But in the case of like what there Java, I'm telling there, import statements are able to include the predefined library which are existed in the form of classes and interfaces in packages. Class and interface in what their packages. Observe carefully. All right, sir. Now this is another point here we can understand. Third one, point number 3. All of you are following or not? Same, already completed points, discussed points only. Now point number 3. All of you observe carefully. All right, sir. Now who will recognize hash include statements and who will recognize import statements now? Hash include statements are evaluated by preprocessor. Am I right or not? Hash include statements are evaluated by what? Preprocessor. Next one is import statements. Import statements are evaluated by the compiler and JVM both. Definitely at compilation time it has to recognize import statements in order to check whether libraries are exist or not. But at runtime JVM has to recognize this import statement to load the required library to the memory. Both compiler and JVM will recognize what their import statements. But the hash include statements are evaluated by whom? Only preprocessor. Understand it clearly. That's the point number 3. Next one is point number 4. All of you observe carefully. Static loading, dynamic loading, 2 things here we understood. In C and C++, static loading. In the case of Java, dynamic loading. Now tell me, which one is supporting static loading and which one is supporting dynamic loading? No. Hash include statement is supporting what there? Now tell me. Right, exactly. Hash include statements supports static loading. Hash include statement supports what there? Static loading. Whereas import statements support dynamic loading. Import statement supports what there? Dynamic loading. Okay, fine. Then one more point, last point here. Try to understand it clearly. For example, I'm asking this question to you, now try to answer for it. Hash includes stdio.h, conio.h, math.h. Is it possible? That means what I'm asking there, by using single hash include statement, is it possible to, by using single hash include statement, is it possible to include more than one header file? No, not possible. So what is the point here I'm telling there? Observe carefully. By using single hash include statement, we are able to By using single hash include statement, we are able to include only one header file. Okay, if you want to include, more than one header file, we have to use more than one hash include statement. Right, sir. All of you have to carefully. Now, what's the point I'm telling there? By using single hash include statement, we are able to include only one header file. But if we want to include more than one header file, we have to use more than one hash include statement. That's the point here. Okay, example here I'm telling there. Yesterday, dot h. Next one is what there? Hash include conio dot h. Then after this, another one is what there? Hash include. All right, sir. Math.h, like this here we provided. So now here I want to take some examples. All right, sir. Now here itself we can identify this. But in the case of this Java, then what we are able to provide there? In the case of Java, what we are able to conclude now? By using in Java, by using single import statement, we are able to include more than one class or more than one interface of the same package by using more than one class or more than one interface of the same package by using what? By using single import statement. Right, sir? 1 minute. By using single import statement, we are able to include more than one class or more than one interface of the same package by using star notation. What notation can know? Star notation. All right, sir. By using single star notation. All right, sir. Now, example here I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Import java.io.star. Java.io.star in the sense like what there, how many class and interfaces we are able to get no more than one class or more than one interface we are able to get with only star notation. That means one import statement is sufficient. But if it is a case in the case of C programming language, how many hash include statements we have to write? More than one hash include statement here we have to write. So which one is better now? Java is better. Less number of intersections we are able to get when compared with what there C and C++. So finally, what we understood there, differences between Java and others in the topic, two differences here we understood. Tell me guys, what are the two differences we understood there? C and C++ are static programming languages, whereas Java is what? Dynamic programming language. And the second difference is what there? Preprocessor required in C and C++, but preprocessor does not required in Java. Got it or not? Right, sir. Then tomorrow I want to discuss one important, very, very important difference. That very, very important difference on tomorrow's session is like what there. C and C++ are platform dependent programming languages, but Java is platform independent programming language. C and C++ are platform dependent programming languages, but Java is what their platform independent programming language. The topic we are going to understand effectively. Sir, you are coming for 10 o'clock batch, no? Okay, then I'll talk with you after the class. Right, sir? Then tomorrow we'll see that remaining points. And one more thing. Right, sir. Then some fees point of view, some concessions are going on there. Might be then a few days back I said to you I want to give some surprise there, but our admin people have given notice. I forgot it. No, just we can reach out to our office there. Basically, I don't like to talk about money related things inside the classes. No, might be it's not. It should not be like that. The relation between you and me is the technology only, not related to money. It is not good thing. So if anything relate to this money, anyway, they are giving some quotations also with me. I don't like to announce inside the class. You can go to our office directly. You can talk with the admin people. They'll give clarity about it. Some fees point of view, some concessions they are talking there. Just directly we can reach to our office. They'll give more clarity. Okay, right, sir. Tomorrow, don't miss the class. Very, very important topic. C and C++ are platform dependent. Why Java is a platform independent? What are the internal reasons? Almost all. We are going to understand very good content tomorrow. So if it is possible, try to bring your friends also on tomorrow. The topic was important topic. I'm going to discuss that. Don't miss that content clearly. Okay. Right, sir. That's all for today. We'll meet on tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, then we will get recordings for every topic, guys. Don't worry. Yeah, every topic you are able to get recordings on. Don't worry. Just a quick question. May I, what is the cost and course duration? Yeah, Mallikarjun Rao, just I'm giving 1 minute, 1 minute. Guys, then if you want to go for this admission process, just we can contact with this number. There, these are the details are available. Just we can contact with the admin people there. They will give more clarity about this, all the content. Okay, regarding that. So just one time talk with the admin people. They'll give more clarity. Okay. Right. Uh-huh. I think. Yeah. Then guys, then okay, guys. Then shall we meet on tomorrow? Those are attending in online. Shall we meet on tomorrow, guys? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you, thank you.